Greetings Internet and welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. This will be my second episode with regards to Caesar's Legions, and I don't think this will be the start of the actual game. I think this will be the setup, why I'm setting up certain things in certain places, but also a go through, because this is actually quite different to most games I've ever played. There's only 5 pages of basic, what they call fundamental rules, and I'm already discovering on a second read that things are very different. First time it's like, yeah, hexes, yeah, okay, counters, yeah, got all that. Okay, movement, yeah. But now on the second read, you move into a hex rather than next to it to attack. Okay, that's different. There are a few games that do that, but not many. But also what was also interesting is you don't have to attack. You can enter the hex, but you don't have to attack. The key word is may. And it also doesn't give the option for the defender to attack if you don't attack. You're just occupying the hex. So I was then thinking, okay, but once combat is joined, so you move in as the attacker, you attack the defender, and then you decide, don't want to do it anymore, then the defender can actually counterattack in your turn. Which, okay, there was a little bit of that in War and Peace, but in this one, it's like, interesting. So even though there's only 5 pages of fundamental rules, there are some fundamental differences to this and most games. So I'm a complete noob at this. I've not played this before. This will be interesting, but I'm quite conscious that I could make quite a few mistakes. So my normal recording method is to record 2 or 3 episodes. So therefore I've got a bank of episodes to fall back on in case I'm like tired from work or too busy or whatever. So I could at least release at least 1 or 2 videos over the course of a couple of days. I'm not going to do that with this one. I'm going to shoot a video, ramble like I am now, and then upload it, and then leave it until I get some comments from you guys. I say, no, you shouldn't. Because I notice I've got a lot of comments from people looking forward to me playing this. So if you could, say, no, you should have done that. Oh, you maybe, whatever. It'll be useful because, yeah, there's some quite different concepts in this one. So, but let's go down to the map and have a look at what's going on and what I've done so far. Okay, so let's go through what I've sort of set up here. This little row of dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 between each one. Yeah, this is going to be where I'm going to randomly determine where the Romans enter. They all enter in one hex. And I'm going to set up the Germans to cover the area that they need to defend. But I don't want to do that knowing where the Romans are coming in. So I thought, that sort of covers pretty much the front line. They could arrive any one of those 6. I'll just roll a dice as soon as I start the game, where the Romans will enter. The yellow cubes are denoting the 6 victory locations. The Romans have got to take all 6. Now, that to my mind means that the Germans do not have to defend all 6, because he who defends everything defends nothing. Where are the Germans' best line of defense? Now, the Germans get benefits in the woods. Whereas, well, maybe the best way to put it is not the Germans get benefits, it's the Romans are hampered in the woods. Because you've got various stacking limits depending on the type of terrain in the hex for the Romans. The Germans have pretty much got the same stacking all the way through. Now, looking at this, there's obviously a big band of woods here and here, but there's none of the villages are in the woods, because that'd be nice. So whenever the Romans attack a village, they will be able to get 2 legions. So let's quickly go through, because I want to use this video as a rules explanation as well as my thoughts and so forth. So the stacking limits are for the Romans. So for any terrain other than woods, they can put 2 legions. Now a legion in this particular scenario is one of those bad boys there. Let me just zoom in on him. Okay, I did this in the previous video, but yeah, let's just zoom in. So it's a 45-4. It's a big boy. Plus 2 5/5s. That's 1 legion. Oh, and their attached eagle. That's 1 legion. So in any terrain other than the woods, they can get 2 of those. That's 45 plus, that's 55. That's 110 strength points in a single hex. The other option they've got in anything apart from this is they could put 1 legion or its equivalent amount in cohorts plus 3 auxiliary counters. So any 3 of these, they're not massive in strength, but they help. Or they could have just 3 auxiliary counters in the hex. So that's in a woods though, it's 1 legion or its equivalent in cohorts plus 3 auxiliary or 3 auxiliary. So that's a maximum. Well, we've got say 55 plus 9. So, you know, 64 is the maximum they can get in a woods, which is a big cut down. For the Germans, though, all terrain is 4 counters, regardless of strength or size. And in a village, they can get, or a temple, we haven't got any temples in this. So in a village, they can get 5 unit counters. Now, if I just shift this along a bit, so with 5 of these 10-4 bad boys, that's only 50. That's the maximum, but 40 in the woods. But if they've got 40 sticking in the woods and the Romans can come in with 64, that's the best odds they can get will be 3-2. It's not great. So, and then 5 in the village will be 50. But in a village, because it's open ground, the Romans will be able to get 110, wasn't it? I worked it out. So, yeah, the strengths. The Germans are going to have to hold on to one of these villages, so they've got to defend it in strength. The other thing is the Romans, yeah, they're very strong and get 2 legions, but they've only got 6 legions in total. So they can't be everywhere. The other thing that some of these, this light infantry units, they give an extra modifier in the woods. Light infantry in the woods gives you a +1 attack and -1 defense. So probably the best would be one of those. Because remember, it's 4 units of any size. Unit count. And remembering that each one of these 10-4s is actually 2, and this 5-5 is actually 2. You've got Warbands and mobs. So that's 3 mobs. There's 4 mobs in that hex. So that gives them a strength of 35, but that gives them that extra modifier. And the legions get a modifier in the open, so when they're attacking the temple, but the Germans get a modifier for the temple as well. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. Sorry, temple, not village. We're not playing any temples. So yeah, the Romans will be attacking villages with a +1 modifier. So yeah, let's remember where all the yellow cubes. So I'm going to work out a defense for the Germans. I did purchase some of these units, but I'm going to change these 10-4s are made up of 2 5-5s, 2 5-4s, 2 of these. But 2 of these could also make up a 9-5 or a 11. I've got a couple of 11-3s here, and they can also make up a 12-3, which I wasn't, because I was looking at just the symbol side, but they can make up the 12-3s. And there's 4 of those nasties. So I'm going to take 4 of those and remove a couple of the 11-3s. No, I won't. I'll remove 4 of the 10 fours. There's also say a 9-5, but that has a difficulty in breaking down to take losses. So I'm not going to get any of those in this one, because it looks like in this particular scenario that the Germans have got to hold on, is the way I'm reading it. I'm just getting out now. There's only 4 of these 12-3s. So there they are. And now I've got to work out a defence, not knowing where the Romans are coming in. So let me do that, and then I'll come back in. Okay, that's my Germans set up. So my thought process with the Germans is there's very little point defending these right at the front here. They're going to get swamped. They're all in the open. But we've got to fight for some of them. So I've put in here maximum counters 5 units, but also I've got some big reinforcements at the back here. So if and when this falls, there's enough stuff to try and retake it. And I've got some fast moving units further back in the woods here that might be able to retake it if the Romans get stretched. Or if they leave these, they've got to garrison these. So depending what garrison they are, it might be worth a little punt in a counterattack. There's no supply rules per se as yet. I think that's one of the things that's brought in later in the game. Not in this particular scenario, but because remember this scenario is program instruction. And there's a fair bit of strength loitering in this wood down here as well, depending on how much garrison is left by the Romans in this particular position. And moving back up to the northern sector, let's just zoom in a little bit on there. So again, there's some cavalry in here, fast moving stuff, and with a little bit of infantry, again depending on what the Romans garrison with. And the chief is at the back in what I hope will be the strong. I mean, it's got the best infantry I've got in there, and the leader. Leaders are necessary for units to be able to break down if they take losses. That was a key thing. I was like, oh, really? So, as each of these infantry units is actually made up of 2 units, and it takes a 1 unit loss, and I don't have a leader in the hex, and the Germans have only got 1 leader, then I actually will lose, or the Germans would lose, the whole unit. With a leader in there, they can actually break that down to its 2 component parts and just lose 1 of them. There are no reinforcements in the scenario, and the Romans, each of their eagles counts as a leader, so they can break down a lot more effectively than the Germans can. So let me just zoom back out again, and that is my setup. Now, I was debating about using these things. Well, what I've decided after looking to your comments, and I think probably the best one is I will choose the attacker's card and randomly draw the defenders. Why am I using the cards? Well, it seems to me that the combat results table require you to. If I just bring up the combat results table, I don't know how much you can see, or should I just hold that in my mitts? There we go. You've got results going from -3 all the way up to 10 with the D6 roll. And the only way you're going to get to these juicy results is by the use of these. You get a +1 modifier for a few things, and a -1 modifier for leaders and such forth. But to get really high and then into the juicy territories or the losses, you need to use this tactical results matrix. I've read again a few comments of people, I don't like it and don't use it. Well, it's there. It seems to give the more favourable results. As I'm playing both sides, hopefully to the best of my ability currently, I thought it would create a narrative. So I will choose, obviously I'll choose the attacking card first, and then the defender card will be randomly drawn. And yeah, that's those. And I will go through the rules in more detail as I'm playing, and I think I just need to reiterate the victory conditions. So, to win, as Caesar, you must take and hold undisputed all 6 villages west of the Rhine. So that's the ones I marked with the yellow cube. And I view as undisputed that there's no Germans in there, without losing an eagle or Caesar. Now, the only way to lose an eagle is if the whole legion gets taken out. So there's 6 of them. Hopefully, from the Roman point of view, that won't occur. It then uses within 12 turn limit, and that's what the little meeple at the back is on the turn track. It then says a note: to hold or menace a village, you must occupy the village hex at the game end without playing a withdraw tactical card in your half of the 12th turn. So that means to me that the word undisputed is not quite clear, because that seems to say to me that the Germans can be in the hex, because the turn sequence is Roman, German, Roman, German. So that prevents the Germans slinging in one little 2-5 into the hex and not attacking. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to attack into the hex. That won't give it back to the Germans. That won't make it undisputed. The only way to count as an undisputed is that the Romans don't play a withdraw in your half of the 12th turn. So in the Roman half of the 12th turn. So if the Germans want to get it back, they're going to have to kick the Romans out of the hex. That's the way I read it, because count as undisputed. You have little German units loitering the back with intent, and just waltzes in its last turn, and there's nothing the Romans can do about it, because to attack, you don't have to attack if you enter an opponent's hex. So reading what I read there is to count as undisputed control. I was going to say the Americans, I keep wanting to say Americans, the Romans have got to be in the hex in the 12th turn, in their turn, part of it, and do not play a withdraw card during the battle sequence. So if they're defending, I won't have that in their hand. I won't allow a withdraw to happen by random luck. As the Germans, you must maintain a fighting force west of the Rhine, causing Caesar enough casualties and embarrassment that, afraid of a recall from Rome, he'll offer a separate peace. Okay, so in other words, it's fluff, isn't it? But basically, you've got to stop the Romans achieving their conditions. But if you do manage to take an eagle, you win automatically at that moment. The moment you take it. That's it. That's the game ready to go. So the only thing that's really left to do in this episode, I'm going to roll to see where the Romans arrive. That's what this is for. Okay, and here's the big roll. Where does Julius Caesar enter the map to subjugate these Germans? Now, as I say, this is the last part of the episode. If any of you see anything that was blindingly obviously stupid that I've done with the Germans, please mention it in the comments. And I could do a re-roll if I need to do a reset up of the defence. But this is the way it is at the moment. Here's the die roll of doom. They're coming in here. So I'm going to mark that with, just remind myself of it, with a red marker. So they're coming in there. And let's remove all these other dice. All done. Let's bring this back up to the top and to me. Okay. All ready to go. As I've said, any comments that can point out things that I've missed, not quite considered, thought about. I mean, there are only 5 pages of rules. It shouldn't be too difficult, but there are quite a lot of interesting differences to most of these kind of games. One of them, which I will mention, it's a little bit vague on what kind of units I get for the Romans for the auxilia. It says 6 legions, yeah, got that. No more to maybe, and then it says an 8 cohorts of auxilia, of which only 2 may be cavalry. Now, then it goes on about Roman auxiliaries. There is a Militaria Equitata, which has got 2 symbols on it, but it's still only got the cohort. Let me just show you. Can you see that on here? Is that backside first? Okay. Different ways of breaking up the auxilia. So if anyone can, am I making the most efficient use of the Romans by using all these 3/4s? Or can I use these counters as alternatives to that and still count it as 1? Because it's got that little 2 battalion size at the top, which stands for a cohort. Answer in the comments, that would be much appreciated, because I don't think or if I am, making most efficient use of the Roman breakdown of their cohorts. But that's the way I'm doing it at the moment. I've got 8 of those 3/4s and 2 3/6s. Sorry, 6 of those 3/4s. I'm only allowed 8 cohorts on the field. I'm looking forward to this. This is the first, since I started my channel. Yeah, I bought quite a few games, but this is the first game I've bought for the channel that has been recommended by one of you guys in the comments. This, as I say, was completely off my radar. So yeah, this is new ground for me. But what I've read so far in the rules, I mean, I like Ancient Warfare. I mean, the first impression, when I look at the counters and it's got the NATO symbols, it's like, oh, why couldn't they have chosen something different? But I look beyond that now and see the potentials for each side, or starting to see the potentials for each side. Where I put that red cube for the invasion, I'm going to be able to come in. It comes in 1 point, but I'm going to do it either side within 2 hexes of that point can be where they actually do enter, but they've all got to enter via the same hex. So they're going for the northern route. Interesting. Okay, until next time, have fun, play games. If you've got this game and you've played it, please add comments, because I'm learning it. I'm a complete noob at it. I have no idea what the context, how the combats will work. I mean, yes, you can read a combat results table, but until you actually roll that die on it, the implications of the result, you don't know. You just don't know. So yeah, please join me in this. I hope you have as much fun with me as I'm anticipating having in this. And until next time, bye internet.